Hi, I'm Katie Barr, and this is What's Boca Saying. Ryan Rossi believes we need a fighter for public education in the Florida State House. The candidate for District 89 is a Democrat. He's here with us today to discuss that issue and others he feels are important to our coastal community. Hi, Ryan. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Katie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Happy you stopped by.
Absolutely.
So why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I was born here in South Florida. I went to Pope John Paul II High School here in Boca Raton, and then went to FAU where I got my bachelor's degree in 2008. After doing so, I actually got into teaching. So I was a teacher for government and economics for a few years, and then had some business opportunities arise, which I took, and then I transitioned into real estate, which I now do full-time here in the Boca Del Rey area. I went back to FAU to get my master's, and was responsible for co-founding the Youth Leadership Academy of Palm Beach County, which provides and expands more or less civics opportunities for our high school students here in the county. We're in our fifth year, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done, especially exposing students to what politics is all about and why leadership is important, particularly to the rising generations. And so that has been part of what I was able to do as an educator, and I still do that, even though I've transitioned into business.
So this would explain why public education is so important to you.
It is. In fact, it's one of the reasons that I'm running. As a teacher, I've seen many of the difficulties that educators have in the classroom, particularly with resources, because we know that here in the state of Florida, they are underpaid, especially when you consider what teachers are paid on the national average. Florida overall is ranked 29 out of 50 states in terms of education. And I don't think that's acceptable for a state that is now the third or fourth largest state in terms of population in the country, to have our public education system treated that way. But there is a mental health aspect to what happens in the classroom too. There's a lot of troubled kids, and I've seen it firsthand. I've worked with guidance counselors on kids that require a little more attention or have been flagged for specific behaviors. One of the things I think that we need to look into doing is making sure that our guidance counselors aren't simply used as a means to try to get kids into college. And I know that seems to always be a priority.
Right.
But I think that sometimes what happens is we lose track of students that have been bullied, students that have been victim to abuse, students that have issues that are going on at home that they are trying to manage on their own in the classroom. And I think that sometimes that boils over, and then unfortunately, we have tragedies that are a consequence of that type of environment that they're experiencing at home. A lot of people have lost faith in public service and what it is to be a public servant and our politics. And it's my hope that not only will I inspire a new generation like myself to enter public service, but we can help change public service into something that's respectable, where people are able to have disagreements, and still agree to like each other at the end of the day, and at some point work together on legislation that I think is going to have the best possible and positive impact on the communities that they represent, and in this case, the state that all of us will represent.
Moving on just a little bit, I know you also are very supportive of the environment, and you care about the ocean surges, and having lived through some hurricanes, I can say, yes, that's a concern. How would you address that in the State House?
Electing a representative who understands these issues, who's on the right side of these issues, I think is an important first step. Here in Boca, beach erosion is very important. Flooding issues are very important. Property insurance is very important as a consequence for some of these environmental issues that we're going to experience and continue to experience. I don't want my generation to be inactive on this. And this is why it's important that we vote, because my generation has to worry about whether or not some of these streets will even be in existence in 20, 30, 40 years. Are our kids going to be able to sit and enjoy the beaches the same way that we did growing up? These are real concerns that we have to talk about, but we have to keep talking about it.
What do you think about the algae bloom that we're seeing? Does that play into the saltwater intrusion at all?
It does, and the more that spreads, the more of an issue that this becomes. The problem is working with folks in the legislature, working with our county officials, with our city officials, to do something to address this issue, because it's not going away. And I think that each year we
I
see
know.
more of an impact
Yeah.
from it. There are members of the community that are absolutely terrified over the prospect that this continues to happen. There are environmental concerns that continue to spread because of it. But we need, as I said, to keep talking. And we need to not only continue to talk, but to take action.
And there's other areas, of course, that are concerns to you. And I think the opioid crisis is one issue where we do need to put a little extra attention. What are your views on that?
It is very sensitive and it's very real. And what I don't want to happen is for us to forget about the real health crisis that this has caused. And I know that there are many in our communities that worry about an infiltration of sober homes and that the environment that that's causing as far as our public safety. There are robberies, there are burglaries. People are afraid to let their kids wander down the street, to play outside because of some of these threats that are happening in our local communities. This is a real problem, but I think that the state has an obligation and a responsibility to work even with the federal government to the degree that we can to try to perhaps build some centers for rehabilitation that we know that we have the proper oversight for, that we have the proper funding for, or we know these people are being treated the way they ought to be treated, where they're getting well, and then hopefully, as a result of that, reassimilating back into society as functional members, of healthy members, and they know that they can get the assistance and the help that they need. I don't think that we've done enough to address that component of the opioid crisis. The business of government is the business of the people, and that's part of the motivation in wanting to get involved and make changes to the government. Because I think that so many people have lost faith in what public service is about. I want to run to try to restore that faith and to try to build a better future. It's about that vision and about that motivation that I think, for me, makes us a very viable candidate for the Democratic Party.
Well, it sounds very exciting, Ryan. And is there any way that our audience can get in touch with you or volunteer or contribute?
They can. Certainly, I'm open to taking any calls or any messages or any correspondence, certainly contributions as well. You can go onto my website at electrossi.com. Contact information is there more thoroughly, and anybody's willing or anybody is able to reach out to us at any time.
Okay. Well, good luck. We'll be watching you with enthusiasm and hope to see you move forward.
Thank you very much, Katie. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
All right. That's it for today, folks. Thanks for joining us. As always, we hope you'll stay informed, stay involved, keep your comments coming into bocawatch.org.